Chiefs fans, you might not like everything I have to say today, but these are big topics that can't be ignored. One is about where future games might be played, and the other is about coaching changes, some that fans were hoping for but may not happen. Plus, I'll talk about the team's plans for the left tackle position and more. Let's start with an important update. The legalization of sports betting in Missouri was approved by voters back in November, with the goal of having everything up and running by the summer or fall of 2025. However, things are now delayed and might not happen until December 2025. The Missouri Gaming Commission announced today that the timeline has been pushed back. This is because Missouri's Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, rejected emergency licensing rules, saying there was no real urgency to fast-track the process. The situation is complicated, but the original goal was to have everything in place before the 2025 NFL season kicked off in September. Now, that may not happen. No matter how you feel about sports betting, it's growing fast. In fact, commercial sports betting revenue in the U.S. jumped 27% in 2024, reaching nearly $11.1 billion by October. Love it or hate it, it's not going anywhere. Unfortunately for Missouri residents, they may have to wait until well into the football season to fully take advantage of it. Now let's talk about something that could shake up the future of Kansas City sports. Big changes might be coming for both the Chiefs and the Royals. Talks about moving both teams to the Kansas side of the border are gaining momentum. Missouri is trying to keep them from leaving and is reportedly working on a proposal for the November 2025 ballot. One option being considered is a 20-year extension on the current stadium agreements, which could keep both teams where they are until at least 2050. This situation is far from settled, but it's something every fan should be paying attention to. A move like this could change the future of Kansas City sports forever. The biggest issue isn't just where the teams are playing, it's that both the Chiefs and Royals want a brand new stadium. The problem? They might not get it in Missouri without a fight. Back in April 2024, Jackson County voters rejected an extension of the stadium tax, which would have funded a new downtown stadium for the Royals and renovations for Arrowhead Stadium. The plan was poorly presented, and that's a big reason why voters shot it down. But this decision frustrated both teams' ownership, making them doubt whether they could ever get public approval for a new deal. Now they have two choices: try again with another public vote, or take a different route that doesn't require voter approval at all. That second option? Moving to Kansas. Unlike Missouri, Kansas has a unique funding tool called STAR bonds, sales tax and revenue bonds, which allows the state to provide upfront money for major attractions. Only 3 states in the U.S. have this kind of program, and while it's a controversial funding method, both teams are very interested. According to Bob Fesco of 96.5 The Fan, not only are the Chiefs and Royals intrigued by Kansas' offer, but they're actually leaning toward making the move. Sources from both teams have said Kansas has been a great partner to work with, while Missouri is still trying to figure out its next move. By the time Missouri gets something on the November 2025 ballot, Kansas might already have construction underway. If this move happens, it would mark the end of an era. Arrowhead Stadium, which has been home to the Chiefs since August 1972, could be gone within the next 5 or 6 years. It's one of the oldest and most iconic stadiums in the NFL, and seeing it disappear would be a huge loss for Kansas City sports history. Personally, I'd love for the Chiefs to stay in Jackson County, Missouri. I've lived just 15 minutes from the stadium my entire life, and it's been a special place for so many fans. But at the end of the day, this decision might come down to business more than loyalty. I'd love for the Chiefs to stay in Missouri, but I can't blame ownership for wanting something new. If Kansas makes it easier and offers a better deal, it's a huge win for them. But what do you think? Does it matter if they stay at Arrowhead or move across the border to Kansas? Some fans have told me they don't care as long as the team stays in the Kansas City area. Others, though, are deeply attached to Arrowhead, given its history and iconic status. Let me know your thoughts. Would you be okay with a move, or do you want them to stay put? No coaching changes? Now, let's talk about some actual Chiefs football news. The team officially announced 2 new hires: Matt House as senior defensive assistant and Chris Orr as defensive quality control coach. This isn't exactly breaking news since their names had already been floating around, but now it's official. Matt House is actually returning to Kansas City. He was the Chiefs linebackers coach from 2019 to 2021 before leaving to become LSU's defensive coordinator. Most recently, he coached with the Jaguars. Meanwhile, Chris Orr, a former teammate of Leo Chenal, was previously the linebackers coach for Jackson State. Now, he's joined the Chiefs' staff. While these hires strengthen the defensive coaching staff, the Chiefs also lost a couple of key assistants. Safeties coach Donald DeLisio was hired by the Ravens as their defensive backs coach, and assistant defensive line coach Terry Braden Jr. left for Nebraska, where he'll take on a bigger role as the defensive line coach. So far, we've seen multiple defensive staff changes, but nothing significant on the offensive side. Some believe that means the coaching staff is set and no more changes are coming, which is frustrating for many fans. A fresh offensive mind to help with game planning would be great, but at this point, it doesn't look like that's happening. As a reminder, Joe Blameyer remains the Chiefs' pass game coordinator, meaning things might stay exactly the same for the offense this season. Coaching staff stays the same for now. It looks like the Chiefs' offensive coaching staff will remain unchanged. Connor Embry is still leading the wide receivers. David Girardi remains the quarterback's coach, and Andy Heck continues overseeing the offensive line. Tom Melvin is in charge of the tight ends. Todd Pinkston handles the running backs, and Matt Nagy remains the offensive coordinator. Unless something unexpected happens, this group will likely stay in place heading into the season. Left tackle update, a major concern. One thing that absolutely won't stay the same is the left tackle situation. Last season, the Chiefs' left tackles combined for a disastrous 50.0 pass blocking grade from Pro Football Focus and allowed pressure on 11.3% of plays, as the worst marks in the entire NFL. We knew it was bad, but those numbers make it clear. Fixing this position must be a top priority. From what I'm hearing, the Chiefs will likely sign a veteran left tackle in free agency, and then try again to draft one. This approach gives them more security instead of relying entirely on young, unproven players like last year. Wanya Morris and Kingsley Suamataia were thrown into the fire early, and while Suamataia struggled, it's too soon to say if he can develop into a starting left tackle. The Chiefs knew when they drafted him that he would need time, so he may still have a shot at the role. If Kingsley doesn't work out at left tackle, he could shift inside to right guard. The Chiefs even started working him at guard late last season, possibly preparing for the departure of Trey Smith in free agency. Many expect Smith to become one of the highest-paid guards in the league, which could make it tough for the Chiefs to keep him, with Juwan Taylor earning $20 million per year. Creed Humphrey expected to get around $18 million, and Joe Thuney still on a pricey deal. The Chiefs have tough financial decisions to make, especially with the left tackle spot still a major question mark. At the end of the day, protecting Patrick Mahomes' chance has to be the top priority. The team has to get this right. Protecting Mahomes, left tackle, comes first. When it comes to priorities, nothing should come before fixing the ball left tackle. Situation: protecting Patrick Mahomes' blind side is the key to keeping the offense running smoothly. If he even gets decent protection at that spot, we've already seen what he can do. Win Super Bowls. The Chiefs need to get this right, and they need to do it now. Should the Chiefs extend Trent McDuffie now? Shifting gears to another major decision, the 2022 draft class is heading into the final year of their rookie contracts. Some key players from that group, including Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis, could have their top fifth-year options home picked up. But when it comes to McDuffie, the Chiefs might be better off locking him in with a long-term extension this offseason rather than waiting. Why? Because the salary cap is rising to $280 million. And McDuffie has already proven he's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. If the Chiefs delay his extension, the price tag will only go up. Last season, McDuffie was first in the NFL in lockdown rate, 68.5%, had the fourth highest overall grade of any corner, and earned second-team All-Pro honors. The year before, he was a first-team All-Pro. As a slot corner, his versatility makes him a perfect fit for Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and at just 24 years old, his best years are still ahead of him. Financially, Patrick Surtain, too, of the Broncos, is making $24 million per year, while Jair Alexander, of the Packers, earns $21 million per year. McDuffie's market value likely falls somewhere in the middle, around $23 million per year. The Chiefs have historically been hesitant to sign defensive backs to a second contract. The last one was Eric Berry. But should they make McDuffie a cornerstone of the defense is now and save money in the long run? Or should they wait until next year? Let me know what you think. Could Juan Thornhill make a return to Kansas City, shifting focus to the secondary? There's an interesting decision ahead for the Chiefs. Justin Reid is set to hit free agency, which means Kansas City will need to decide whether to invest in bringing him back or explore cheaper alternatives. One intriguing option? Juan Thornhill. At 29 years old, Thornhill just became a free agent after the Cleveland Browns released him to free up cap space. While his time in Cleveland wasn't his best, he still has the potential to contribute. Over the past 2 seasons, he managed just 4 pass breakups and 0 interceptions. A sharp drop from his final year in Kansas City, where he racked up 8 pass breakups and 3 picks in 2022. However, it's tough to judge his performance solely based on stats. The Browns' defense struggled overall, finishing 27th in points allowed, and their offense didn't help much either, as they limped to a 3-14 record. On top of that, injuries limited Thornhill to just 11 games in each of the past 2 seasons, meaning he missed 12 games total. That being said, bringing him back on a cheaper veteran deal could make sense, especially if the Chiefs plan to rely on Jaden Hicks and Brian Cook as their primary safeties. Thornhill wouldn't need to be the star, just a solid, experienced depth piece. And the best part? It would cost far less than re-signing Justin Reid to another long-term deal. Of course, if the Chiefs do decide to keep Reid, that wouldn't be a bad move either. He has been the better, more consistent player in recent years. But if Kansas City wants to save cap space and reinforce other positions, bringing back Thornhill could be worth considering. What do you think? Should the Chiefs bring Thornhill back? Or should they stick with Reid's arts? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Also, stay tuned. Andy Reid and Brett Veach will be speaking to the media tomorrow, and I'll have all the updates and key takeaways right here